Hi everyone, I'm Donna Stellhorn, your practical astrologer, and today we are talking about the solar eclipse. It is on March 29. It's at 9 degrees of Aries. This is the last Aries eclipse that we're going to have until October 2032. And then on March 30, Neptune goes into the sign of Aries for the first time in 164 years. What does this mean for you? That's what we're going to talk about. For those of you who are new, welcome. I'm so happy that you're here. We're going to do a short overview, and then we're going to look at your sign in particular and love and money. If you haven't already, please subscribe. And if you would like a copy of your chart so you can follow along in these videos, I'll send you a PDF. There's a link in the description. An eclipse closes a door in your life, and it forces you to move forward. We had 18 months of Aries Libra eclipses, and this put a focus on yourself and one-on-one relationships. And 2 weeks ago, we started the 18-month cycle of Virgo Pisces eclipses, where the focus is on taking our spiritual ideas and our vision of what could be and applying this to our daily lives. Eclipses disrupt the status quo. And as disruptive as they are, it is almost always the case that we look back on these times and think that it was necessary and beneficial. But at the time, it can feel uncomfortable. This particular eclipse is at 9 degrees of Aries. I give a 5-degree orb. That means if you have any planets between 4 degrees and 14 degrees, you are getting hit by this eclipse. If you have planets in Aries, Cancer, Libra, or Capricorn, you're getting a harder hit. And if this eclipse falls within 5 degrees of your birthday, you are getting a direct hit. So that means that some aspect in your life is going to change. We'll talk about where the changes might be for you when we talk about the individual signs. But it is beneficial for you to look at your life and what you have been wishing to change, even though maybe you're not feeling ready for that change. Because when you ask questions like that, when you say what should change in my life, what could change in my life, you are starting to train your mind to look for opportunities. Now, we had a very similar eclipse back in October 2024. It was on October 2nd, and it was at 10 degrees of Libra. Libra is the opposite sign to Aries, and so there is a similar energy. So think about what was happening back in October of 2024. Maybe you are finishing up some of that energy with this current eclipse, or maybe you need to make some additional changes in that same area of life, or maybe somehow you avoided making a change then, and now the changes are happening. Now, besides this eclipse, on March 30, Neptune goes into the sign of Aries. It did this last time on April 13th, 1861. Now, for you history buffs out there, you may recognize that date. That was the day after the Civil War in the United States began. And so that back then was all about divisions, and right now we are a very divided people. Energies like this tend to repeat, giving us an opportunity to improve and make things better. Neptune represents our vision, the idealized version of what we want to create in our lives. But it also rules nightmares and fear. And so it's both the utopian ideas and the dystopian ones. It's two sides of the same coin. Since our thoughts become our actions and our actions become our life, it's important now to find the vision of what it is you want to create in your life. And then you'll be able to work to make that a reality. Now, I know that does not sound easy in this world today, but it's worth trying. It's worth working towards. And with Neptune, it doesn't mean keeping your head in the clouds. Your vision may include very practical things that you're doing, maybe in your community to fight for your kids' education, or to keep books in schools, or to have equality and opportunity for everyone. And then soon Saturn's going to enter the sign of Aries. And so with Saturn, the ideas that you formulated using the Neptune energy, then the Saturn sees as blueprints, and it starts constructing your life. Okay, Aquarius, this eclipse is challenging you in the area of thinking. So you have to ask yourself if you're a jumble of thoughts or if one thought reacts and then gives you another thought and another thought. Is it that your thinking is out of control? And or worse, if all of your ideas belong to someone else, if they originated somewhere else, because Aquarius is about being an individual, about having your own thoughts, and your gift is the gift of invention. And so if you only have other people's thoughts, other people's ideas, then you're not creating ideas yourself. And so the first thing to do is to start to challenge some of the ideas that you have. And so you may be asking yourself, is this true? And whether it's true or not, is this beneficial? Is it useful? Is it helpful? So, but first saying, is it true? And like, do you absolutely know that it's true? Especially if it's something about yourself. It is something where if you can challenge the thoughts, then you allow space for new thoughts that come from you. So, and then, as I mentioned, you have the gift of invention, and that is that you are able to come up with creative solutions to all kinds of things that can happen. And so this means that instead of focusing on old thoughts and old ideas, start to look at what's new and innovative. Just even a different way of thinking about things will give you new inventive ideas and new opportunities. And if you would like to know more about what's ahead for you in 2025 and 2026, I do readings. There's a link in the description. Now, when it comes to love relationships, specifically new love, Mercury is making an out-of-sign sextile with Uranus. And that means that you have good energy for meeting someone if you do something a little bit different. And that means if you go to a party that you weren't thinking of going to, if you take a different route to work. I don't know how you'd meet somebody when you're in your car, but maybe you stop at a different coffee shop, you shop in a different store, you go to some new places, or with an out-of-sign sextile, you could also meet someone who doesn't necessarily fit your usual type, and then you go out with them and find out that you have amazing things in common, and they are such chemistry. So there's really some good energy here for meeting someone new for a love relationship if you will break the norm and do some new things. Now, when it comes to existing love relationships, the Sun's making a semi-square with Uranus. A semi-square is an irritating aspect, and so it's quite possible that there is a little bit of irritation going back and forth between the two of you. A lot of times with a semi-square, it is based on a misunderstanding, or that you two are using the same terminology, but you define those words differently. So like one person may say, I want something done soon, and in their mind, they think in the next 5 minutes, but for you, soon means in the next hour or two, or maybe in the next day or two. And so the friction can come and happen just because there's a different definition for words that you're using together. So because you're doing an aspect, you are able to work out problems, but it is going to take a little bit of grit to do it. This energy will line up better in the future, so it may be something where if you are trying to work out something, just recognize it's going to be a little bit difficult, but it can be done. But also, if you start with this idea that where there's just a misunderstanding and start to explore it, then what you'll find is outside of this 2-week period, all the misunderstandings get easier to resolve because you're going to start there with what's our common definition. Now, when it comes to your money, you pull money from Jupiter, which is still going through your area of creativity and risk-taking, as well as Neptune, which a day after this solar eclipse goes into the sign of Aries, and at least for a few months. Then it will retreat back into Pisces and into your house of money again for a little bit, and then come, I think, January or February in 2026, then it's going to go into Aries for real. And so as it goes into Aries, now you're going to have this new energy, which is going to be substantial for you. Aries is about taking action, about pioneering, about moving forward. And so I think you're going to really resonate with this energy when it comes to your money. So this is where you may have felt like, the whole energy of money was a bit nebulous or hard to take hold of, or seemed to be constantly changing. Now it's going to feel more like an arrow that you're shooting, like that there is a target that you can go for and that you can achieve. So, of course, when Neptune goes into Aries, you're going to have to get used to the energy. You're going to have to work with it a bit. So it's kind of nice that it's going to be in the sign of Aries for a few months, and so you get to work with this. But I think that pretty quickly you're going to start to see that you're more effective when it comes to money-making activities, and that you are able to set a goal and achieve it. Now, when it comes to money from business or from investments, Mercury is making an out-of-sign conjunction with Neptune, and Mercury is going backwards, so Neptune and Mercury will meet, and so they're going to come together, and there's going to be this opportunity for you to make more money over the next 2 weeks from these sources. So this is very much about communicating with people what it is that you want, communicating with the universe about what you want. So saying, out loud even what your goals are, but asking for the sale, asking, your broker for help, asking for what you want. That's what's going to bring you money this time. And then when it comes to money derived from career, so that would be a paycheck, Neptune is not making an aspect with Jupiter, but Neptune is still in Pisces, which is co-ruled by Jupiter, so you have a hidden aspect. At least you do for a tiny bit more. And so now Jupiter is going to be moving forward and make some very strong aspects with Neptune in the future. But right now you have a little small window in this 2-week period to check in and see what kind of energy there is for you getting a raise. This is less about going in, and knocking on the door and saying, I'm demanding a raise. This is more about you kind of feeling out what's going on and allow people to tell you if they've been thinking about this in the past. So, or if this is something you have been working on in the past, to move it to a completion now. But, if you feel like that's too much for right now, that's perfectly okay, because this energy will line up much better, much stronger later this year. And that's it. I hope you enjoyed this video. Consider signing up for my newsletter, where I talk about astrological happenings every week. And if you would like to know personally what is up for you in 2025 and 2026,